in those remarks, the president also laid out a bold goal. He said the bottom line is the U.S. goal is to degrade and destroy ISIS as a threat.
That's right, George. Very definitively, this is beyond where he's gone. But there seemed to be a mixed message there, because when he was asked to clarify if he was now saying the U.S. wants to destroy ISIS, he backtracked significantly, saying we can continue to shrink ISIS's sphere of influence to the point where it is a manageable problem.
All right, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the show. Joining us now to weigh in on all this and, of course, Putin's push into Ukraine and Obama's response to that is Robert Bud McFarlane, former National Security Advisor to President Ronald Reagan and architect of the Strategic Defense Initiative, SDI. Hello, sir.
Hi, how are you?
Good, good. Great to talk to you again. Let's start with ISIS in the response, if we can, and the sequence of events from a week ago today when the president announced to the world that we don't have a strategy, so we shouldn't put the cart before the horse, to the point where yesterday in one breath he said, you know, we're going to work with our allies and we're going to destroy ISIS and annihilate them, not only in the region, but so they're not a threat to us in the United States. And in the next breath said, well, you know, we could marginalize them and make it a threat that we could live with, basically. So your analysis of what is going on here?
Well, it's, on the first instance, kind of welcome when the president finally states clearly that ISIS has to be destroyed. But then he comes out with an interpretation that's very equivocal and of a piece with the earlier process of drawing a red line and ignoring it very quickly. To destroy ISIS is going to require a sustained effort, heavily military, where we bring together allies and create a coalition of the willing from Kuwait, the Gulf Arabs, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Egypt, all of them contributing forces and money to deploy sufficient forces to help the Iraqi armed forces and the Kurdish Peshmergas. Primarily, the United States contribution has to be significant air power, and not only occasional drops on targets of opportunity, but a sustained support of the ground forces with tactical aviation, and to contain any effort to expand by ISIS forces. Now, that's a significant air dimension. There has to also be, on the ground, advisors in the thousands to advise all of this new coalition, plus the ground troops in calling in this air power, as well as fire and maneuver on their own on a sustained basis. This is going to take a year. It's going to take thousands of special operations, special forces people, and a sustained effort by our country and allies for a long time. So anything less is more equivocation that just won't cut it. We've got to get on with this and do it right now.
And so when you say the special ops forces and the logistic forces, you're talking about American forces to organize this on the ground, the thousands you're talking about, or is that a coalition, a combination of different countries' special forces?
There must be contributions from all of these countries, but the United States is the only country that could organize it and provide the leadership in how they deploy, what their roles will be individually in reinforcing the Iraqi forces. But the critical dimension has got to be advising how the fire and maneuver to destroy ISIS is conducted. And that can only be done by experienced, trained special forces people that could only come from the United States. So it's essential. It's the only way to get this done. We don't have to carry the total burden, and I believe the other interested parties, Saudi Arabia, Gulf Arabs, and so forth, can provide the cash to pay for this. But there's no mistaking. This is a very, very powerful force. In order to bring it down, it's going to take a sustained, combined arms effort for a long period of time, at least a year, to contain and destroy their warfighting capability.
Yeah, so thousands of U.S. Special Ops and advisors leading the coalition. So in effect, we are talking about boots on the ground. When you say this has to be done quickly, the president last Thursday said when he does come up with a strategy, he would take it before Congress, and then he would expect vigorous debate. It just sounds like he's letting our enemy know that nothing's going to be happening for a while, you know, aside from these targeted airstrikes, which are designed to protect our embassy and our personnel in Iraq. So nothing to worry about. I mean, why would a commander-in-chief, A, announce he has no strategy, and then tell the progression of events that need to occur before anything could actually happen?
Well, it makes no sense. He would find willing voices in his own party as well as the opposition at the Congress to engage quickly. Here, a sensible strategy, such as I've just described, approve the money for it, and get on with it. I think there are a couple of other things that he could do immediately. Today, he is in Europe. He could seek the approval of the NATO Military Committee and our allies in Europe to task General Philip Breedlove, the Supreme Allied Commander of NATO forces, to work with the Joint Chiefs of Staff and the member countries in NATO to see that this has got to be a combined effort of allied forces in Europe as well as the regional effort. We don't expect others to put boots on the ground in large numbers, but they have an interest. They have Islamists in their countries. Every country in Europe is already facing a genuine threat, and they know it. You've seen the alarm expressed by the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, David Cameron, and they're beginning to clamp down on movement of Islamic people to and from the United Kingdom. This is not a walk in the park. It takes serious action. There's also a valid reason to bring back some of the people who really do understand this, who really do know how to make a strategy. People like General Jim Mattis, people like General Jack Keane, who have served there in the region, understand the challenge, and can put together quickly for the president a strategy that can work.
Let's move on, sir, to Russia. And the president saying yesterday also that the United States will never accept Russia in Crimea. And I don't know what that means exactly. What did that mean to you?
Well, it ignores the reality that Russia has already invaded this sovereign country and seized a piece of it in Crimea. Now it's trying to gradually, using salami tactics, take an ever larger piece of Ukraine and declare it Russian territory. It is outrageous. It is aggression. It's contrary to international law. And if you want to know how the impact affects us, go and ask Poland, Romania, Bulgaria, Hungary, countries in Eastern Europe that are on the Soviet border and have a genuine history of understanding how vulnerable they are. So there will be willing people to help us in this, but we need to move on this right away. And he can start today at his meetings in NATO.
Do you have confidence, Robert, that when the president speaks about the NATO alliance being firm and restating the attack on one country as an attack on all of us, and we will respond, coming from this president, as you alluded to at the very beginning with the red line and everything since, do you have confidence that he means that, and that is still the case today?
Well, I can only be confident that he understands he is the President of the United States of America, the leader of the Western Alliance, with an obligation to that alliance and to the American people to advance our interests and to protect them where they are threatened, as they clearly are in the Middle East and through the uncountered aggression of Russia toward undermining the sovereignty of countries in Central Europe. So he has responsibilities. He has to step up to them. That's all anybody asks. That's reasonable.
Robert Bud McFarlane, former National Security Advisor to President Ronald Reagan, architect of SDI, Strategic Defense Initiative. Stay well, my friend. Thank you very much. Great to talk to you, sir.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Take care.
My pleasure. All right, folks. Very insightful, as always, with Bud McFarlane. And I still say I would pay a lot of money to have his pipes. He just sounds like a broadcaster. Anyway, very interesting, and a very interesting take that it would take at least a year, a massive coalition led by Americans on the ground, in the service of advisors and special ops people to get the job done against ISIS. The question is this president, is he capable of forming such an alliance, putting it together? Does he even want to? I don't know. Up next, Give Me 5, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go away.